Good afternoon, everyone. This is Ben One Piece Products. We're going to be slamming on a windshield for an 85 C10, a flush fit windshield setup. We're also going to be converting a original two-piece door glass with the vent window and the door glass from a manual setup to a new Relics power window kit with the original style crank switches. We're also converting the flush fit back window with a third brake light, which has already been installed, mocked up, ready to go. We're going to be installing the process. As we go through the process, I'm going to show you step by step of how to do the install, minor adjustments that need to be done, anything that we can tackle as far as in this installation video to show you how to actually install the door glass at the best of your abilities. Full tear down on this 85 C10, just to take everything apart, all the nuts and bolts, rear vertical guide, regulator assembly, handle, we just loosen it and leave it down, and then yank out the glass and start from a shell itself. So with all the bolts off, I just left the regulator ones on. I lower the glass a little bit, slide it forward without the vent window in place, slide it back up, and just basically move it forward. You slide the glass forward. There's a hole. There's a slot on the rail. Slightly shift it up. Make sure you hold the glass over here so you're not scratching the body. Just push up on it. That's it. Be very careful. That's it. Door glass is out. Okay, so with the door fully gutted, one of the first things I like to do is actually add the 4-inch extension to the rear of the guide. If you pay attention, I put it on the inside and I just bolt it down with the bolts provided. All the bolts are 7/16 or 11, and then the 2 bolts under the glass, 10 millimeters. With the rear vertical guide in, you can see the bolt there. 4-inch extension's already in. We'll slot the hole in a little bit. We are going to be cutting the tab under the vent window. So you just basically do 2 relief cuts, 1 on each side. You notice that they're both gone now. We're going to be installing the run channel, glass run channel. On this run channel, you have 2 plugs on the run channel. I normally just take them off. I don't even use them. Sometimes the alignment is off on them. You will have to find the slots on the side of the run channel. The run channel will have cutouts on the sides. That basically lines up to the back of the door, and that's your starting point for the run channel. Make sure that the top relief cut is even to the scraper line. It's in all the way. You just put the inside channel on. Make sure it's all in the door. One of the other things you're going to have to confirm is the little lever that attaches to your lock tumbler. You're going to have to push it back a little bit so it clears the vertical guide. This is the adjustment. You just push this towards the outside door skin. Before the regulator goes in, we're going to be installing the new crank handles. Basically going to mount right here. You just have to center it. Make sure you draw a line to center the crankshaft itself to match its original manual setup. Normally I make myself a little template out of the assembly itself, and I just make sure this is my center and this is where I make the lines. We use the template to mark my lines and make sure it's centered to this. So this is how I set it up. So this is the final switch already mounted. You're gonna notice that we ran all the wires. So the two innermost wires are ground, the secondary wires in the middle are power, and then these are directly to the motor, the outside ones, blue and brown. This is your ground, so we're gonna ground it to the regulator once we mount it, and then this is your direct power to your fusible block under the dash. So we're gonna fish it through the pocket right there. As far as the regulator, I have test leads that I use for this. I just disengage it, and I'm gonna use the one we already ran through with the switch. Just plug that one in. I pre-ran the line so it'll be easy to install. You'll hear the click as soon as it pops in. You're gonna have to angle it in. Got to make sure that the wheel, the third roller, slides in before you bolt it on for easier install. Line up your holes. Sometimes what happens, the holes don't exactly line up to the regulator holes on the doors, and that's okay. Not a big deal. I just ream it out a little bit and then line them up. One of the holes don't line up, but I can address it right now. It's not a big deal. The original hole that's right here on the rear for the 4-inch extension is, I slide it about 1 inch to the rear. I want to get the rear vertical guide as close to the latch assembly as possible. So the rear vertical guide is going to wind up right around here. So with the rear vertical guide, 4-inch extension with the 1-inch slot on the upper mount, we basically want to collapse the Z bracket that's on top. So I just put it on a vise and just collapse it. You want to get the rear top as far as you can as well. Then we also have, what else? The handle's already on. It's already pre-wired. I regrounded it, and then we're just gonna power it up. We're gonna roll the horizontal channel that attaches to the bottom of the glass into these channels. And then the glass, we lower it and the glass mounts to that. So now you notice we've installed the upper channel to the glass. Now actually I got it powered. I got it powered with the jumper box. So right now I'm not worried about the wiring. I'll finish that later. You just basically hit the switch, goes down, little by little. It runs pretty fast because it's running off of a 12-volt battery. Once we wire it to the car, you should be fine. So before the glass goes in, we will have to remove the lower hinge bolt, the top hinge, lower hinge bolt. You notice that you can see it at the very bottom right there. We need to clear that. You are going to have to remove the lower bolt from the upper hinge. You are going to replace it with a shorter bolt. Okay? You will notice it has been changed. So upper ones are the originals, bottom one has been replaced. We're now actually going to put the glass into the door. You take the 10mm nuts that are on the glass, just take them off. You will be putting them back on when it runs into the channel. Glass is going to go from the inside You can easily slide it in. Careful with the edges so you don't hit the body. Slides right in. Line up the studs to the channel bracket. Okay. So it's fully in, not bolted down yet, but it's fully in. So just hold the glass, slightly roll it up. You notice I haven't made the hole yet for the access hole for the front bolt. I'll show you how to make it right now. So you bolt that one down. You still have that extra nut that's gonna go right here. So I will have, that's why I use the hole saw to draw the hole so I can access the nut. Roll the window all the way up. Watch your fingers. Okay, glass is all the way in the up position. From here we find the bracket, the stud, and you draw a straight line down. So this is the stud adjacent to the other stud that's in the front. So from there down, you can drill the hole, the 1-inch hole to access that nut. Just roll the window down. Now with the access hole drilled, I'm able to put in the stud or the nut for the stud for the front horizontal channel. So you have one back here, and then you have another one right here. Then we're going to proceed to the vertical guide where you can see the roller on the channel that we're going to be positioning right now. Which is this channel is going to roll right up here. Okay, with the window powered and the the horizontal channel bolted completely on, I'm just going to test fit, see where the clearance of the door glass is at. So I basically roll it down slowly. Obviously there's no front vertical guide yet, so just want to make sure everything clears. I didn't hear anything hit in the front, so that's a good sign. So basically the glass means it goes all the way down with a little bit of help right now because I need to put the vertical guide in. So once you roll it up, you notice it's not hitting anything, and it's going fast because again the voltage of my little battery box is high. At this point, we confirm that we're going to mount the front vertical guide. There's an original stamped hole on most doors from 73 to 91. Some doors don't have this, but this is basically the location of where you're going to drill a hole. I like to slot it a little bit for adjustability forward and back. The original vent window hole at the bottom is the mounting point for the lower mount. I also slot this one about a half inch to the rear. That gives me adjustabilities when I do the final adjustments. Drilled the upper hole, I slotted it a little bit for adjustment, and then the bottom hole I can slot it after the vertical guide is in. So normally what I like to use, WD-40 makes a gel type lube that actually stays in the channel. I pre-grease it before it goes in, so once the roller goes in, it slides in pretty easy. And you basically just slide in the bracket, goes in pretty easy. Lined up pretty nice. That is the position of the upper mount. I'm just going to test it to see how it works. Actually worked out pretty good. Lower mount's not even on yet. now it got stuck. I need to adjust the front one, the bottom one, pull it back a little bit so it clears the reinforcement patch in the front. You will most likely have to grind the inside stud or the nut of the bolt that goes through the bottom hinge. So in a lot of cases I do have to grind them, some cases I don't, but I do grind it most of the time. Okay, so we got everything kind of dialed in. We got the rear vertical guide pushed back as far as we can. Small modification on the top. We just basically compressed the L bracket. It just made it tighter, and then the bottom 4-inch extension. We also had to modify the mounting point, the third idler roller that comes on the regulator, because the angle of this glass for this regulator was slightly off. So we had a gap in the back. We corrected it by correcting down here with the idler adjustment. Then the regulator bolted on, the switch is in, vertical guides in place. This is the position for the upper mount, right next to the existing hole, the original hole. Most doors have it, some doors don't. And then this is the original vent window hole for the bottom mounting position of the vertical guide. Once that's it, all adjusted, window goes up and down, all the way down, all the way up. No gaps all the way around. You got to remember, I'm running a higher voltage. That's why it goes really fast. Once it goes down to 12 volts, we're going to be riding really smooth. At this point, we're going to be installing the outside scraper. We're going to cut it up, trim the front, and then also trim the rear. Okay, so we line up the clips to the slots on the door. You notice we're gonna have to actually trim the front a little bit. So basically I take my Sharpie right up to the transition of the roof rail, the run channel, and then the scraper, and then I'm gonna snip it right there. Then I'm also gonna trim the back excess metal on the scraper itself. So we're gonna trim that area as well. And then this last clip right here, I usually like to trim the center prong because it actually hits the reinforcement patch that they weld inside this door, so it leaves the scraper up. So just trim the bottom portion of it, which is this excess. Trim about a 1/4 inch off the bottom. You should be good. And it's only this clip. So this is the outside scraper. You notice that I actually trimmed a little bit off the center prong. I am going to be relief cutting the back of this. Just put a nice slice on between it so it actually flaps into the body. And then the same thing on the front. I've already made my mark on the run channel, so I'm going to trim it right now. All I'm doing is removing excess metal, so it actually has a tighter fit between the transition between the run channel and the scraper, so it has a flatter finish. Any excess rubber that comes out, I usually trim it at the end. I also do relief cuts on the forward part where the vent window used to be. I just do relief cuts underneath so the scraper can contour to the actual body. And I do it right below the flap. Basically like every 1.5 inches, 2 inches, I just do a small relief cut. You will never see it from the top as long as you cut under the flap. At that point, all the relief cuts are done. You'll notice the relief cuts on the bottom. The front is already tapered. Back clip is clipped, and then the rear is also trimmed. Once you mocked up the scraper, we're going to be clipping it in right now. The area where the vent window used to be, I actually use weather strip adhesive, and I make sure I clean the area of the scraper and also the body with alcohol. Mineral spirits would work fine. Acetone works as well. We're going to glue it on, tape it down, let it dry, and then take off the tape tomorrow. Okay, here we go. This is the scraper fully installed, fully functioning kit. And you can see it's finished off. You can take off the tape tomorrow. Should be good. This is the window working all the way up, all the way down. You got to remember, it's a battery jumper that I am using, and not the 12 volts. That's why it goes fast. But we're all done on this door. We're all done on the other door.